Hello, everyone. I am Ashanti Omkar. I'm a broadcaster and a film critic, and I'm here with the team of Butterfly on a Wheel, a film that has certainly captured my heart, and I'm sure it will capture yours too. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us from different parts of the world. Trevor Morris, the man who has made this film, writer, director, and composer. Trevor, I'd like to start with you because
Mhm.
the seed of this film obviously came from you, and you've transposed yourself from composer to director. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was sort of, post-COVID, and there was a writer's strike, and there was a bunch of things that sort of disrupted Hollywood. And I'm just a creative person. I need to create things, otherwise, I just need to. It's not good for me to not be creating things. And Butterfly, I always tell the story. The truth is, the end of COVID, I was really in a dark place in my life. I was really on my knees, just for a variety of reasons, the convergence of energies, and I was sort of pulling myself out of that place. And the therapist that I work with, more like a spiritual guide, he said, "Well, start like at the beginning. Like, what's good? Like, what's your first, earliest, fondest memory?" And it was clear as day, which is sitting in my grandmother's lap, and she would play Puff the Magic Dragon to me on the piano. And it was like, okay, and I could see that image, and we captured it on the movie as close to the memory as I could get. And it became this healing vehicle for me to sort of to express that. And Susan and Jim, who's not here, were encouraging me to keep the script, make it more personal. What I've learned as a filmmaker is that which is most personal is most universal. So before we started, you were mentioning, Ashanti, that you like the scene where he turns the doorknob seven times or whatever it is, and that in a way we all have our version of whatever that is, and that's the resonance that we were hoping for with the movie. Was you don't have to be a musician or have OCD, but you can see yourself in the struggle of this character who's just trying to get through the day, make a human connection, and be his authentic self, and obviously struggles to do so. But that's kind of where it began, and then it kind of grew and grew, and I went deeper and more personal into the point where we decided to make it. And then I decided I should direct it with one teeny tiny little problem is that I don't know how to direct. So I went to director school for a year, meaning a deep dive, self-taught kind of a thing. And next thing you know, we're casting it, and all these beautiful people were in front of the camera, and there was the short round trip version of it.
And Trevor, did you get these wonderful producers? We've got three of them who've joined us today. Did you get them on board straight away before you made the film, or did this all happen organically along the way?
Everything starts with Susan, and everyone on the Zoom is going to nod their head and say, yeah, probably but true. But I met Susan first, and she didn't know what to make of me. She's like, wait, you're a composer, but now you're a director and you're a writer. Like, what are you? And then we just sort of fell in love with each other that way. And then it kind of grew from there. And she introduced me to Sade, who introduced me to Curran. And it was really an organic thing that started with Susan. So all gratitude to Susan. We wouldn't be here without her.
Susan, any words about your memories of this
Oh,
journey?
yeah. The first time I read the words that Trevor wrote on the page, and I've been working 40 years, and we had just met, I was blown away. I said, okay, wow, I've been waiting a lifetime for this. This is not something that you see or feel all the time. This is rare and special. And then in working with Trevor, he's so open and you know, not to overuse the words, but he is a genius. And his music and all of the things that flow through him, and I think all the things that he feels might be difficult, we've discussed this, and he came up with this word that that's a person's superpower. So, in all of the giving that Trevor does to all of us by going through his own personal struggles, I think it really came through in the film. And when you spend time with him, which is what it's like when you watch the film, you kind of get into the Trevor mind and music and sound design and editing. And a wonderful gentleman came to Trevor named Isaiah, and they started working together. And Trevor is so open and trusting, and Isaiah had not edited before. And it became this amazing team started to build here, which again, I have to tell you, I've worked at Disney, I've worked with many companies, Sony. I had not seen this kind of alchemy. And that leads to our cast, the magic between them. And again, watching Trevor work constantly from his heart, caring so much, having the days go long, 3 a.m., and just never not wanting perfection, but not just perfection, wanting our souls to touch.
Beautiful, beautiful words, and certainly this is what this film does to us. And I wanted to ask Isaiah as well. Tell us about. I'm still saying Isaiah. It's Isaiah. Would like to really hear your thoughts on this as well.
So Trevor and I started working actually very early on. I sort of started helping him out with lookbooks and graphic design and concept art of Butterfly. Then taking photos in and around the city, trying to find locations, and then I got introduced to Susan and the rest of the team, met the cast. So this essentially was my film school as well. So I got to be present through the entire life cycle of the film, from development, pre-production, production being on set, and then post-production, and then now sort of seeing off the award season. So it's been a journey and an education. In terms of the editing process, it was rather organic. It was just stitching scenes together and seeing what worked and what didn't, and continually tweaking and editing until there was a skeleton that we can base off the story, and then that was basically it. It was just trying to get into Trevor's mind and understand the essence of the story and get something great out of it.
How about you, Sade? Tell us about your experiences with this process, because this production process and just seeing the output of the film, you've all obviously worked very, very seamlessly together.
Yeah, so I'd say my greatest contribution was introducing Curran and Trevor. So I had known Curran, I think, for maybe 5, 6 years, maybe when I read the script, and he just immediately came to mind. And so I asked the team, I asked Susan, I asked Trevor if I could send the script to Curran. They connected very quickly, but I actually wasn't on set for production, so I was more involved in the earlier stages.
Lovely. Well, I guess the perfect protagonist is Curran Walters playing Jason with a C. I really like that
Jason with the C.
who can also make the best duck in the world by the looks of it, because that scene just completely, it completely blew my mind. Curran, tell me about your journey and how this began with Trevor.
Yeah.
How you created this very special character.
Well, of course, it all started with Sade. I think I was in like a Whole Foods parking lot when she like texted me like, "You got to read this script." I remember it like clear as day. I think it was in like Century City or something. And OCD has always been something that I've struggled with my whole life, but haven't really like explored to a deeper level, because I think that's you know, it's a very deep thing to like really realize sometimes. And it's, what I've made light of with Trevor too is like, it's not this, I mean, it is a mental health, but it's also, we have to utilize it as our own superpower and how it navigates us through the world and how it makes us special. And I think that's one thing I've really come to realize from this movie is like that it's not holding us back. It is something beautiful. It is a gift that we have to learn to live with, and it really makes us different. So that was like one thing outside of like making the movie. Like I learned a lot about myself, and I think that doing this for so long. But yes, today introduced me to Trevor, and Trevor and I instantly clicked. We met at a coffee shop, and then I think I met Susan after that briefly, and then I got word that Michael was coming on board, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be sick." And then we met at the airport, and then I met Brielle for the first time, and she was just if you ever meet Brielle in person, it's just she's the most bright, loving human you will ever meet, and can really pull you out of like a bad day or whatever it is. So she was just an awesome piece to the puzzle. But yeah, it was pretty quick. And I think I've been a part of a lot of projects, but this one really holds a special place in my heart because of this. there's not a lot of projects where I'm sure as we all know, it's like, oh, it's like work friends. Like you do work and then it's like, okay, cool, like good to see you. No matter even if it's like 4 years of your life, 5 years of your life, like those people like sometimes just, go away and like they're work people. But like this has really become a family. Like this is, I think, because of the deeper message to this. Like this is we all resonated in so many different ways with this. And it's just a beautiful story. So Trevor, I know I thank you a lot, but I just want to say thank you for believing in me. And I think the special thing about this team, or what I always tell people, is you have to have people around you who believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. And that is exactly what this crew was and is to this day. And I can't thank you guys enough. So, yeah.
I got to answer that by saying, the consequence of casting Curran, I've come to believe, the humble Canadian me, that directing is nothing without actors. I think director is just someone with an imagination and can see something. That's great. But the expression of it is actors, you know what I mean? And Susan kept saying all the way through this process, she goes, it never happens like this, because I don't know what I don't know, right? As a first time filmmaker. So Curran comes on board and then MP or Michael shows up and has his own personal connection to a very specific scene, and then I met Brielle on a Zoom and cast her in 11 minutes. She was at the cottage up in northern Canada. Like, and Susan kept going, it doesn't really ever go this way. I go, okay, if you say so, But for me, it was such a gift. Everyone was on the Zoom. It's just such a gift to me as a filmmaker because it's otherwise it's just an unrealized idea, and now it's realized through the generosity and the courage that all the actors gave, but obviously led by Curran, because it was a role that required a lot of courage, and I asked him to go there and he did, and proud of you, man. Proud of the performance.
Proud of you, Trev. Proud of all of us, you know what I mean? And it's such a big accomplishment. Like I think being like the career that you have had and then like being able to be part of your first, like thing that you directed is a special moment, and this is just the start. So very, very proud of you.
Thanks, man.
And let's talk to Michael, because I mean, if I had a brother, I'm an only child, but if I had a brother, you would be the one, because you
Oh,
gave that such an oomph,
Yeah.
yeah.
absolutely beautiful. Tell us about how you prepared for that and working with Curran on this.
I have four brothers, and I'm the middle child, so I got two older, two younger, and I would say that when you read Trevor's words, there's this intangible quality to it that is there's a musicality to it, and like all good music, it tugs at the heartstrings, and you can't help but get those little goosebumps and those feelings, and that's just on the page. Like that's what we all get excited about. That's what Curran jumps at. That's what Brielle jumps at. As actors, you're reading scripts all the time, and then when you get one that's only like some 30 pages, but makes you feel more than you've felt in a year of reading scripts, like that's. I mean, I sent an email to the casting director being like, "Hey, I have, even if nothing comes of this, I just have to meet this director so I can tell him how much his script has like weighed on my heart." And it's like a feeling, I feel it right now. Like it is a feeling that I carried into the meeting with Trevor of being like, you are saying things that I have told myself in my secret heart to my brother so many times. It's the words that I wish I could say to him. Um, and I think when Trevor and I really got to talking about it, and I include Curran and I include Brielle in this as well. We are all people who need creativity to live. Like it is the atmosphere that we breathe. Trevor is not able to function in the world unless he is being creative.
True.
And it is a beautiful thing to just be shoulder to shoulder with someone in that. And what's even more exciting is Trevor has no idea how to make a movie. And so you kind of show up and it's like, well, what's the plan? And he's like, I don't know. But I've got great people together. And like the Toronto crew was so strong and like so ready to work and so eager just for, again, like this small, beautiful little film that I don't want to call it ignorance, but there was a certain level of bravery from Trevor, from Susan, from Isaiah, where it was like, we can make whatever we want because we're not beholden to someone who is weighed down by his past of filmmaking. Like Trevor didn't know that you couldn't not do something. It was just, well, let's find a way to do it, you know? And it was just an incredibly exciting experience. And I feel a kindred spirit to everyone on this Zoom. So.
Wow, I can definitely feel that. And let's go to you, Brielle, because your scenes were very impactful because you are that friend, the friend that you've heard him play, you walk in and you're that friend who is giving him wanting to give him support, but you've got this pushback. Tell me about that and working with Curran on this.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's pretty cruel to make me follow Michael, so I'll do my best. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Trevor created an environment where we were able to rehearse, we were able to get to know each other, and Curran was immediately like so open and so warm and so kind. So it made my job so easy. I mean, as an actor, all you can really ask for is for like the creative team to give you that safe space to really put your heart out on the line. And frankly, like same as you, Michael, like I felt so kindred with everyone, and I really so deeply connected with Trevor's story that it was the first time in my career where I was like, wow, this honestly requires, even the heavy emotional scenes require zero effort because you're just so present in the words. So it was honestly, I mean, it was challenging, but it was one of the most beautiful creative processes I've had. And being able to get close with everyone was incredible. And I feel like Sorrel's character, in connection to Jacen, represents the outside world to him. He wants to chase that love and be his truest self. But in the beginning of the film, and Curran does an incredible job at crafting that arc of he can't get it, but he wants so badly to. And then by the end of it, you realize like Sorrel kind of saw his true heart, his truest self, his highest self from the beginning. And there's always going to be people like that. Same with Michael's character who see that in you. And as long as you keep pursuing that, keep persevering and challenging yourself, I think everyone can relate to the triumph that comes from that.
And working on that scene with Curran, and he's bringing you that duck or on the plate, that's the scene where, it's such a, in some ways, a very magical scene. And
Mhm.
then, things start to change in that scene, and you start to see what happens when he, essentially has a panic attack at that point. For both of you, Curran and Brielle, tell us about how you made that so authentic.
I actually cooked the duck. That was all me. I swear. Um, you know, I think like it was such a blessing to be able to work with Brielle and Michael. Because when you have scene partners who are just so open to creative ideas and are so easy to work with and good listeners, it makes everything just kind of just flow the way it's meant to. And having Trevor and Isaiah and Susan giving us the time to rehearse beforehand and really, also like just have the creative freedom to have like hours before to prep and do all that stuff. That's not stuff that we usually have the freedom to do. So we were given this time to really explore and understand what the deeper meaning behind these scenes are. And I think it really showed through the screen. And yeah, and this duck dish that Trevor, holds a big place in Trevor's heart. We had some awesome. Trevor, who was that cooked the actual duck?
It was
She was.
it was my sister-in-law.
It's your sister-in-law. That's right. So um, yeah, and I've never had duck before that or like experienced duck. So that was a pretty cool first thing to do. But yeah, that scene was pretty unique. There was so many bits and layers, and figuring out what works and doing the dance. It's a beautiful thing about it. It's a dance. Like you have these ideas in your head as an actor, like this is the way it has to go, this is the way it has to go, and then you sit across from the other actor, and they give you a whole different meaning. Like, oh, like I feel something that I planned, like I didn't plan, and that's the beautiful thing about this art. It's like, yeah, my panic attack didn't go that way in my head. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I didn't expect to do that, but it was more of like what I interpreted was more of like, oh, like a like what you envision as a panic attack, but it became so internal and like a struggle with me and just like, it's kind of like a blackout moment. I think we all experienced
Totally.
actors. Like a really good scene is like when you black out, and that's what happened. But yeah, Brielle made it so easy, and she's awesome. Oh.
And I also feel like we can't emphasize enough like how taken care of we were by Susan and Trevor every single day, like from the
Yep.
beginning to the very end. And even like random people on the crew were constantly coming up to me. The movie I just did, some of the camera team was on it, and they were still talking about Butterfly. And it was a pretty short shoot. And it was just like everyone on it had this personal connection to the story. And that, like knowing that your team connects to it and wants the best for you and it will create that space for you to like try new things and have that like blackout moment is so important. So it's a testament to obviously like the actors and how well we all connected, but also the crew around us was top notch.
Jacen walking through the world on his own is not nearly as interesting as it is when he is bumping into this thing that he wants, a connection to another human being that he's attracted to. And, we painted the picture of he got her there, talked to his brother, and like, I'm having this girl over, and it's going well. And we're rooting for him until he gets in his own way, and it doesn't. So, and that's what I went back to again working with great actors is just to sort of hand these people over characters. I mean, to Michael and to Curran and to Brielle and go, here's what they need to be. And now here's the candle, man. It's all yours. Take it and see where it goes.
I would love to add to that. Talk about like the universality of this film and like something we can all experience together. When you ignore your problems, they just follow you, and they will follow you until like life makes it tangible and it's like in your face and you have to deal with it. I think that's exactly what Trevor was also just talking about of Jacen is in his little bubble and he is figuring it out and being okay, but there's this glaring thing that he is ignoring and putting away.
Mm-hmm.
And life will always recognize that and put things in front of you where it's like you have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I always say is the movie on paper is about a talented musician with OCD, clearly. But what it's really about for me is someone searching for their authentic voice. And I think that if there is a universal human condition is that we all want to be seen for who we really are. But sometimes we don't see us for who we really are. We get in our own way. And that's what I'm trying to, in 34 minutes, take us through that journey where, my spiritual counselor said to me, he said, the change only really happens when the pain of staying the same gets bad enough. Until then, you won't change. And that's what Michael's touching on, is that thing that you get out of your own way. That's what we're trying to convey in a very short period of time. I think we did it successfully. And then at the end, of course, Jacen is seen by Sorrel's character, and it's just it's a very emotionally impactful moment because he's seen. That's how it feels. That's how it feels to me. And Brielle made the entire crew cry, including me and Susan. So we knew it worked.
And there were some magic moments that I just want to, I just kind of want to bring up because thinking back, I'm feeling them. So when Michael did his audition, that was a interesting process for us. And again, this was new for Trevor, and it was amazing. Right? You remember that, Trevor? Like after I think Trevor was so excited. I don't know what the protocol was supposed to be, and this gets about the magic that I believe Trevor will never lose when he works on any project. He was like, I don't care about the protocol. Like, I have to tell this person. Am I allowed to call this person directly? Like, what can I do here? Like, right? And you can see in Trevor's eyes right now. The other thing is Trevor is a chef, so the duck is no fluke. This is a man, and wonderful that he brought in family, a most talented chef to actually do the scene. And that was, food prep is a to do, right? It was ambitious to take on for a short film and to do it correctly. And it was fun to watch them in the kitchen. She's magnificent. Was also, I remember, a marvelous magic moment when the older character, the woman that plays the grandma, our costume designer was really amazing. And she would hang with us and watch the monitor and really be present with us. And Trevor had this idea because it's his grandma and he wanted us all to feel it. And she said, I'm going to scour the city and I'm going to come back with the right different sets of costuming for Trevor to approve until I hit that mark. And she was already tired and she'd already put in a lot of hours. And
Yeah.
like she just kept at it. And the hair people were the same. Like hair, makeup. I want to say that our food service people were amazing, trying to keep the protein in everybody, like keep Curran healthy, keep Trevor going. They made like for the crew this beautiful crudité board. I mean, who does that? That's like ridiculous amount of work. So there was this thing happening. And for me, you can see me giggle. I just feel so blessed. I mean, after years to all of a sudden feel young again. And then when I was working with Sade, she has this bright light too. And she was so insistent that we look to really understand who Curran is, like really give it a go. And since then, I can see as Trevor's career will just take off. Um, he has an innate sense to follow his joy, right? That is what we're trying to do in life. And it's unbridled. And then he takes you there. Um, one late night, he got everybody on the crew talking about their own lives. And we had a very handsome and amazing AD, first AD, very strong person, almost military when you need to be, right? That's what you want. And he just opened up his life to Trevor. And all of us were in awe.
Yeah, he just cracked wide open one night over a glass of wine and just it was an amazing thing. And it's funny as a director, I imagine always, even if you're Chris Nolan done 14 movies, the crews are probably done 140 movies. You're always the least experienced person in the crew, right? And day one, no one's really warming up to me. I'm just another day job for the person with the boom or whoever, right? By day four, they're like, "Hey man, I gotta tell you something. My grandmother and I were really close, and in that scene, and like, oh, cool." Next day, someone so like it was really wild to me to have these battle-hardened, band of brothers and sisters come up to me and tell me that this scene meant something to them. Yeah, that was really special for me. They're kind of core memories of between the takes with the actors is everything else, which is, waiting for lighting. And to have those crew members come up to me, it was that was really special.
Beautiful, beautiful. And before I let you go, I guess I'm going to come back to you, Trevor, with the question about the music, because you've done all the music for this from scratch and you built it up to a fantastic crescendo with that last scene. Talk us through it.
So yeah, I mean, in a way, it's a blessing and a curse. In a way, I write the music while I write the words, so it makes writing a screenplay an interesting uh, chiastic experiment between my both sides of my brain. But the one piece I had written in advance really had an idea was the healing journey, the montage. And it's just these little four piano notes. It's like I call it like a river. It's at 2 minutes or so. We're on a canoe. We're just going to go down this river with the audience. That was the feeling. But I also wanted to end in some grand orchestral gesture way to go from personal to this broader spiritual sense of healing, and the imagery goes to some very big broad places. That was the piece I had really written in my head in advance, and then from there it was surreal to sit down and write music for a movie with no one to give you notes or looking over your shoulder because it's just me. Actually made it harder in some strange way. But then going to Abbey Road and conducting it is one of the true great. If we ever get virtual reality to a place where it works, I want everyone to be able to experience what it's like to conduct an orchestra. It's a thing, and it was just the icing on the cake. But it was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable to write, to write music. I wrote a little song for the end, and actually I had a whole theme for Jacen that I threw away, and it took out the background vocals from the song and put it over the part where he takes a bow. So it's engineered about his grandmother. It organically found its way to where it wanted to be. But it was an incredibly difficult getting it right process because I was hard on myself, if you know what I mean. But in the end, I'm really happy with it.
Well, our time is up, but thank you all for speaking to me and making this film. It's such a memorable film, and this idea that what makes you different is your superpower is what you convey in this film, and so beautifully. So thank you everyone for being here with us and for making this very special film.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank
I
you.
miss
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Ah.
Me too.